is Mina Nicole, and thank you for joining for another episode of Talk It Out Tuesday. It's been a while since we've had a Talk It Out Tuesday, so we are going to jump right into it. And today I have Jameelah B with me, and we are going to talk about the subject that's on a lot of single Black women's mind, which is being single over 40. I just turned 40 in May, but this is something that is dear to my heart and something that I've been through as well. So we are going to definitely get into that today. And Jameelah is the owner and founder of Dazzle Me Please Productions, and we're going to talk about that as well. And she is the host of What in the Hell Am I Doing Wrong? So we're going to talk about that today. So be sure to tune in. We're going to share with you all her show information, and it starts on January 17th at 5 p.m. So we'll go ahead and get into it. Jameelah, how are you doing today?
I'm good, and you? How are you, Mina?
I am doing great. Thank you for being on Talk It Out Tuesday. I am just so excited. And first of all, let me back up. So Jameelah is my Delta Soror. Not only that, but she is my big sister. So it is because of her that I am the Delta I am today, and she has contributed to making me the woman I am today. So I am just so excited to still have that bond. So Jameelah, just tell us about yourself. Tell us about everything that you're doing, and how did you get started?
Okay, great. And thanks for having me, Mina. And again, she is my soror, and I was her. I brought her across her over the burning sands. I don't know how many years ago was that? Like what? 20? Y'all 20 this year. Yeah,
you'll be 21 this year.
Yeah, y'all 21 this year. Yeah, because I'll be 22 this year. Yeah. So, and she was, you were the golden child. That was your line name.
Yes.
Right? Wasn't you the golden child?
Yes, still am.
Okay. Yeah, so she's doing. Yes, exactly. She's still doing great things. I'm very proud of everything you've accomplished as well. So thank you for having me. So Dazzle Me Please Productions. Dazzle Me Please Productions is my baby. I started it a few years ago. Actually, it was the name of a PR company that I had, Dazzle Me Please. But then I branched off and did it into production as well, because that's one of my passions. I had gone back to school to get my master's in fine arts, and it was really just to be doing writing, because that's my passion mainly. That's my first love, is writing. So I was doing screenwriting and different things like that. So then I started dabbling into production and learning more about the production aspect of things. So I said, why not just create my own production company? So that's what I did. I was seeing a lot of internet people becoming successful on YouTube, doing their own productions, Issa Rae, different people. So that kind of motivated me to say, you know what? I can do the same thing too. I have the same ideas. I have the same talent. So you never want to count yourself out. So that's how I created Dazzle Me Please. And I did do a web series. It's called You Can't Pick Family. And it was loosely based on my family, my aunts. So I kind of did that. And I'm going to get back into that probably this year, like revamping that. So that's how it got started. I've always had a love for theater and the arts. My father was a drama teacher, and he was definitely into theater. And although he passed away when I was only a baby, I would go through all of his plays and read them. And sometimes you may not be around somebody, but they could be working through you spiritually. That's how I feel like my dad works through me. So a lot of his writing talents, I do poetry, I do all of that, I feel like, came through me. So that is what inspired me to do this. And my show, my new show that's coming up, What in the Hell Am I Doing Wrong? So that, like Mina said, that'll be starting on December 17th.
January 17th.
Oh, I'm not in 2020 yet, 21 yet.
Still putting 20 for dates. So
yeah, my friend told me the other day, she was like, I wrote a check and I put 2020 on it. I said, yeah. January 17th. Thank you, Mina.
Yeah. So what inspired you to take on the talk show host hat?
Well, what inspired me was I always used to say growing up, my main accomplishment would be if I was sitting on Oprah's couch. I would feel like I've arrived. So I always watched Oprah, and I loved Oprah's style and how she would navigate interviews. And then, as I progressed on, I loved Tamron Hall and all of like The View, different interview platforms. I keep up with current events, and I love to debate. I love to keep up with you know, trends, things that people are talking about. I'm always in a debate with somebody, especially on social media. And they can get ugly sometimes, but you know, it is what it is. And then I've been watching a lot of the internet platforms, like Cocktails with the Queens, different YouTube bloggers that, you know, have platforms, and I enjoy watching them. And I was like, you know what? I have a voice. I have something to say. So why not create my own talk show?
And that's exactly what I did. I don't know what I be doing half the time. It's all my sister who's she's very skilled with media and stuff like that. But it's just a matter of presenting what you have, and all you can do is talk about your experience. So I mean, can nobody take that from you
Nope.
at all? So that's all I'm doing, talking about my experience and inviting others to do the same. So I know you are going to do great. So I am excited. I'll
Yeah.
definitely be tuned in on the 17th. Check you out. So what are some of the topics that you're going to be discussing on What in the Hell Am I Doing Wrong?
Okay, to start off, the title itself, what in the hell am I doing wrong? It's an inside joke between like my good friends and I, mainly my best friend. We always would see people out and about because we're all single. Well, not all of us, but you know, some of us are single, and we would see people out and we'd be like, how did they get them? Or, you know, like, what are they doing that I'm not doing? And we have had unsuccessful relationships. So our little running joke was, well, damn, what in the hell, excuse me, what in the hell am I doing wrong? So um, I always say, you know, anytime I try and figure something out, like, what am I doing wrong? And that could be in life, you know, work, or just in general, like when I'm dieting or something, or just relationships. So pretty much the topics will come from my real life experiences and those of people I know. So it'll be pretty much like an informative type of dialogue I'll be having with people. I'm no expert by any stretch of the imagination, but like I said, like you said, I'm speaking from my personal experiences and what I've done and learned over the years and what people I know have done and learned. So we'll be talking about, you know, being single over a certain age, not having children, maybe people who have had failed marriages, or, you know, people who are doing well in their marriage and what advice they can give other people. You know, if you have not progressed professionally the way you wanted to, and you may be questioning, like, how is this person constantly getting promoted and I'm not? Like, what am I not doing? Or you're constantly dieting or trying to exercise and lose weight, but it's just not working for you. So what am I doing that's not right, that's causing me to have these stumbling blocks? So we'll be touching on a lot of those topics, and, you know, other things will come up eventually. But for the gist of it, that's what we'll be talking about.
And I think all of those topics are very important because that's something at some point in your life, everybody has struggled with.
Yeah.
You know, whether it's weight, relationships, work. I mean, even within the family dynamic, you know, there's times where you feel like, you know, am I missing something, you know, and what can I be doing better? So I think that's a great platform because people suffer in silence with a lot of stuff, and they don't have people to talk to, or they think they're the only ones going through this. So I think this is definitely needed for such a time as this, especially with everyone going through the pandemic and everything going on with the elections. It's just so much stuff going on right now that people might think that they just aren't worthy of whatever it is that they're trying to get. So I commend you for just telling your story and trying to help other people.
And I'm glad you brought that up about, you know, depression, trauma, you know, because I mean, we're living in trauma, even though people don't want to acknowledge it. We're living in trauma. And then I know the stigma with mental health. I have some therapists that are going to join us on the show, but mental health, especially in the Black community, is shunned upon. People don't want to go and get help for it. And I think that's where a lot of our issues come in, because we don't seek that necessary help that we need when, you know, you're going through something. So that's definitely something that I will be touching on as well.
And mental health is very dear to my heart. And I shared on a couple of the episodes before that, I started going to see a counselor when I was preparing to get married. And it was something that I didn't know that I needed. But a friend of mine, when she got married, one of the greatest pieces of advice, she was like, when you all go, also go for yourself. Get a separate therapist and go for yourself. And even to this day, I have check-ins, because I mean, it's just so much stuff with running a business, you know, being married and you know, family stuff, and just so much stuff going on that you have to take care of yourself. And I say all the time, is taking care of yourself is beyond hair and nails and aesthetics. You
Exactly.
know, you have to do that inner thing. And that's what a lot of people miss. And unfortunately, they worry about what other people think. I'm like, the hell with what other people think at this point. I'm trying to take care of myself.
Exactly. And I think you hit the nail on the head with that one, because a lot of times people will look at you, for example, and they may not even think, you know, you have any stress, or because you have your business going, you have a good marriage, you know, and we're looking from the outside looking in and we're like, oh, she got it all together. So, you know, those that may not share or may not say anything are the ones that are hurting the most on the inside. Because I have a therapist, I check in with her and I'm not ashamed to say it. And, you know, and a lot of people, the stigma of it, you know, stops people from getting help for themselves. So yeah, I applaud you for taking those steps, because it's necessary.
Yeah, and I'll put this little piece of advice out there too. A lot of healthcare providers now, I know at one point they were offering free mental health services. So you didn't have to pay a copay or anything like that if you wanted to get mental health services because of Corona. So yeah, so I don't know if it stopped or anything like that, but that's a good piece of information for people that didn't know that as well too. So definitely check with whoever you have your healthcare through and see if they still provide those services.
That's
So
very necessary. Very, and
yes,
I work my 9 to 5 is, you know, I work in the field of domestic violence. So, you know, I know we need, I'm off track a little bit, but it's something I think is necessary to say. A lot of the people are really catching it now, you know, during COVID, you know, because they're home with their abusers more, you know, so than ever. So those are people that we need to keep in our thoughts, and, you know, those things are necessary. And, you know, just be mindful of, you know, just if someone is just seeming like something is going on, it probably is, you know, so that those are things that we just need to be cautious.
I totally agree. And so transitioning to our topic of being Black, single, and successful, one of the many topics that you're going to talk about on your show. While I was researching for this topic and just thinking about my own experience being Black, single, and successful, I came across this stat from the U.S. Census that says 40% of Black women between the ages of 34 to 39 have never been married, compared to 14% of whites. Okay, and the second stat says that Black women ages 35 to 45 with a college degree are 15% less likely to be married compared to a white woman without a degree. Okay, so we are going to unpack that. When I read that, I was like, wow, but it's really not surprising. So we're going to dive into that a little bit. So why now, Jameelah, have you decided to share your story about being Black, you know, over 40 and single?
Yes, I decided to do this because I'm not going to even lie to you. Well, I am divorced. You know, I was married in my 20s. I got married very young. I was married from the age of 23 to 29. And when I got my divorce, I was like, you know, nothing against my ex-husband, because I just feel like we were not ready for marriage, and I was not ready for marriage. But I was excited about exploring, you know, the single life and being single. So when I did get my divorce, it was heartbreaking because no one gets married to get a divorce. So when I was in my 30s, I was dating someone, and I dated that person up until not too long ago. And marriage just wasn't this person's in this person's mind, and it really wasn't in mine so much. But then as I started getting older and closer to my 40s, I kept saying, okay, I'm getting older, you know, and age is not going to stop on me. So when I turned 40, I really went through it. When I turned 40, I had a lot of emotions, because I wasn't single, but then again, I was, in my eyes. I didn't have children. And it's like I was just in a whirlwind of emotions. So I kept saying, well, goodness, am I ever going to find that, you know, forever love, or am I going to be single forever, or am I just going to be dating this person forever? Like, what is this going to look like? And now at 42, and I am single, it is a little scary, because as Black women, when you are over 40 and you are single and you are relatively successful, you know, you have your stuff together, you really can survive on your own. You don't really need that male to sustain you. you're not looked upon as the prize. You know what I mean? You're not looked upon as being the prize. You're actually looked upon as being a problem or difficult. And as Black women, you know, we're already labeled as being angry. So anytime you see a Black woman is educated, got her own stuff, and she's doing okay, oh, she don't want a man, she don't need a man. And that is not true. And I think a lot of Black women, because I have a lot of Black friends, female friends who are over 40 that are single. So I'm not the unicorn out here that people think I am, but they treat you that way. So I felt like a lot of women over 40, when they're single and they're navigating life, people are always asking them questions and looking at them like something is wrong with them. So the reason why I decided to tell my story is because I'm real. You're not alone. And I just want them to have somebody that they can relate to, you know, in this, you know, life about how to, you know, how to navigate this world being a single woman over 40.
And that's very important. I love Nigerian shows on Netflix, right?
Uh-huh.
So I'm watching one of the shows, and this young lady, she was like in her 30s, and same thing. I mean, you see the cultural pressure, whereas they're like, if you're not married by 30, you're like just doomed forever. There's no hope, you done. And unfortunately, that weighs on a lot of Black women. I know that weighed on me. I didn't get married until I was 39 years old.
Right.
And I'm thinking, okay, I'm gonna get married by this age, I'm gonna have kids by this age, you know, but that wasn't in my destiny or anything like that. But it was still hard, like you said, to just go through and to understand that this isn't my time. I'm more so being preserved, but you still wonder, is something wrong with me? Why haven't I been chosen? And I think that's like the real question.
Yes.
Why haven't I been chosen? So that might be another conversation.
Yeah, I mean, and I think, you know, a lot of times I won't say we've settled, but I will say a lot of women just want to have that companionship. And men who are probably on our level, they're not really looking for us, you know. And it was one lady, I can't think of her name right now. She's a YouTube like relationship person, but she made a whole lot of sense. I was watching one of her interviews, one of her discussions one day, and she was saying that a man who is at a certain economic professional level, he's not looking for a woman that's on his level either. He's looking for somebody that's under him so that they can praise him. And they feel like the men who are, you know, that will probably, we need to look, you know, they're not on our level. And then it takes you back to that video that went viral. I'm sure you saw it, where the young lady was saying that, you know, she needed to date a man that made 6 figures, and the guy told her she was average at best or something like that. You didn't see that one, Mina?
I didn't see that.
I'm surprised. It's a guy, his name is Kevin Samuels, and he's a relationship person, I guess. But he literally tore this woman down, and pretty much they didn't show the whole thing. She was saying she has dated men, you know, who didn't make as much as her, and it didn't work out. They felt inferior or whatever. And then she said she wanted to see maybe she could date men that were, you know, of a certain economic status like her, 6 figures. And he pretty much told her that she's not what men on that level want physically. You know, he said they want more eye candy. So she wasn't what he wanted. But I think a lot of times women who are independent, they're perceived as wanting to be the boss or control the household or whatever. And that's really not even the case. It's a lot of misconceptions out there.
I really agree, because at the end of the day, everybody has a role in the relationship, and as long as you respect that role, you respect each other's role, then I think you'll be fine. And one of the scariest things for me getting married at 39, you know, I've been on my own since I was like 21, so I had to go from having my own house, you know, I've had owned houses, lived by myself, to sharing a home with my husband. That was like my biggest fear. It's like, you know, I've been by myself. I had to depend on myself. So how do I transition from being single to living with somebody? You know, I like my space, and then depending on somebody, you know. So that's a whole nother mindset as well that you have to get used to, and that you kind of got to transition from being single for, 20 years to, okay, now I'm married. So that's a whole nother thing in itself. And what cultural differences or factors do you think contribute to Black women not being married at the percentage or rate that, say, white women or Indian women are getting married?
I mean, I definitely think culturally they are groomed from young girls to get married and to only get married. Like that's the major accomplishment, is to get married. And I think for Black women, we have a different story in this country. I mean, I can go as far back as slavery. I mean, from slavery to, families being torn apart, and to during the 60s with the welfare reform, like the programs, they were not allowing Black families to be together. If you were if it was a man was in the household, they were not going to get benefits. It was like a war against Black love in this country, if I will say that. And then, I think our mothers, and I know my mom for sure, she didn't, discourage me from marriage at all, because I came from a very strict household that believed that you're not going to be shacking with no man. You're going to get married in that order, have kids, in that order, but, not in the opposite order. So it's not that it's not encouraged, but I think Black people come from an environment or mentality of survival. And I think historically, Black women have been the backbone of the family, and they've learned how to navigate the world as single moms. So when they have their daughters, they instill in their daughters how to be independent and not to depend on a man. Not saying not if you got one, don't play the position, but at the end of the day, they want you to be prepared for the real world and what's against us. And a lot of our Black men, 1 in 4 Black men will experience the criminal justice system at one point in his life. So we didn't have many options, as far as available Black men. And culturally, I think I would just say this, culturally, I do believe that Black women are reared to get an education and be the best that they can be in this world, because they may not have that person to depend on, and that's just the reality of it.
And that is so true, because I got the same upbringing that you did. Mm-hmm. Go to school, get your education, get a good job, take care of yourself, buy a house, and be independent. Mm-hmm. Then get married. Whereas our white counterparts, they're groomed to, like you said, that's day one. You go to college to find a husband. Exactly. And once you find that husband, you take care of the home, and there's nothing wrong with that. No. But it's just that we wasn't brought up that way at all. And I was watching something again on Netflix. It's a great show. It's called Indian Matchmaker, and it's very fascinating to see how that community matches their children up with other people. And the thing is that the matches that they're getting, these people are prepared for marriage. No children, they're doctors, they're engineers, they're lawyers, and the women have the same pedigree, but they're getting matched up with like people. And I'm like, why isn't our community like that? It's just mind blowing. But like you said, though, we were taught what our parents were taught. Well, our mothers were taught. I was raised by a single mom, and that's what she instilled in me, so me making these adjustments and stuff like that is challenging, it really is. But by the grace of God, I'm figuring it out. Yeah. But yeah, that's something that we wasn't taught growing up. And I think that puts us at a disadvantage, sometimes.
I agree with you, because I recall even when I was married, my father and my mom were married up until his death. And, but I was 5 months. So I didn't see that married I didn't grow up in that environment. It was just my mom and my sister and I. So I grew up seeing a strong woman, and that's what I modeled myself behind, because that was my example. So I recall when I was married, and, I got mad about it when it was said to me, but I look back on it and I'm like, he might have had a point. He said, I didn't understand how to relate to a man because I didn't grow up with one. And at the time, I mean, I was 38 hot. I was angry and I was insulted and I was mad, you know, all of the above. But it made a valid point that, you know, not saying that my mom didn't do a good job, because she did. She did what she, you know, knew to do. But I do feel like when you ask the question, if why aren't we, you know, prepared, or, you know, as other cultures are, they make that a priority. That's the priority. And in our culture, that's not the priority. It's a goal, you know, but it's not the number one priority.
Mm-hmm. And why is that priority made like the pinnacle of our success as like women? Not only Black women, but as women, period. Because, you know, white women, Indian women, they go through the same thing. And with this Indian matchmaking show, you're nothing unless you are married and have kids, like, period. And in our society, a lot of times people don't see your success. They don't see the different things you're doing. They just see that you're not married and you don't have any kids. So why is that like the epitome of success for a lot of people?
Yeah, and I think, I mean, historically, I just think that that's sexism and, you know, just misogyny in this country, and just back into biblical days. I mean, just by Eve being created by Adam, you know, coming out of the rib. You know, it's like, you know, we're looked upon as being helpmates, or we're not defined unless we are a wife and a mother, because biologically they feel like that's our only purpose, is to bear children and to serve your husband and to be his helpmate. And so I think historically that ideology has been passed down through generations, through generations, through generations. And it's just hard for you to break out of that. So our worth is not in the great things that we've done and accomplished. It's in, oh, they have a beautiful family, you know, and there's nothing wrong with that. Again, I don't want to discredit families or anything like that, but our worth should be defined more so than that, you know. But I think that's it, you know, historically.
And one of the things that God had dealt with me with when I was, you know, kind of going through the same thing, is just, you know, trying to figure out, you know, what, again, what am I doing wrong in my 30s? Of course, I went back to this Bible scripture, be fruitful and multiply. And everybody thinks that means have kids, and it doesn't. It doesn't mean
Right.
that you have to have kids. Being fruitful is this. Multiplying is this, what we're doing right now. Helping other people, you know, growing within yourself, being successful. That's what being fruitful is. But a lot of people think that because I don't have kids, and I've had to get people straight personally with that, just because I don't have kids, that doesn't mean I'm not being fruitful. You know, I'm more fruitful than a lot of people I know with kids. You know what I'm saying? So it's different definitions, and we have to get that ingrained in us as Black women, and understand that our worth isn't babies and a husband at all.
And I think I'm glad you brought that up, because people use scripture to, you know, define a whole lot of things in their own way. And, you know, a lot of Black women, like we were talking earlier about suffer in silence. When people are, you know, making assumptions about Black women who don't have kids, they never know, like, maybe this woman, it's not that she didn't, like, they think, oh, she just don't want kids, she just this and that and the other. There are a lot of medical reasons out here why a lot of women don't have children. I mean, like I said, I'm in a moment of transparency in my life. I have polycystic ovarian syndrome. So that is something that will prevent, it can be a barrier to having children. And a lot of people don't even realize that those things are prevalent, especially in Black women. And when they go out thinking, because I guess historically we're breeders, you know, they already look at Black women as being breeders from back in slavery. That was our, you know, thing, just to be having a whole trailer load of kids. And they didn't look at the fact that this woman might be suffering with a condition that is preventing her from having children. So people need to think about the things that come out of their mouth before they say it, you know, sometimes, because you never know why this person does not have children. Black women suffer at higher rate with fibroids and everything else. So it's a lot of reasons why, you know, Black women don't have children, or it's not married, or what have you.
Right. And also the reason that some people don't want to have kids.
Absolutely.
I mean, it is not meant for everybody to have kids. It's not meant for everybody to be married. And I know that's hard for some people to say or hear. I mean, case in point, Oprah.
Mm-hmm.
Oprah is the same way. I mean, I don't have any kids. I love kids, but honestly, I don't know if I want to have kids.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that. And the world just has to accept that. I mean, period. You know, so that's something else that we have to own as well too. Not having kids for everybody else, but having kids for you, because you're the one that has to take care of them at the end of the day.
I just had this conversation earlier today because I said I was never that person who saw kids and was like, oh, I want to play with the baby. I'm still
I'm
not
the same way.
and I never was. If
I'm
you
the
ask
same
me
way.
to babysit your child, you better have exhausted all resources before you come to me, because I'm not going to volunteer for that. So sometimes, you know, and I own what you're saying. Like, as I get older, I'm okay with saying I've accepted not having children. And then one time, someone told me I was selfish because I said, well, the only reason why I was really concerned with not having children is that I'm getting older. And I mean, I was like, who gonna take care of me? You know, I was thinking like that one time, and that's a reality too. So it's like having babies should not be it's not everybody's dream. It's not. And it was never one of mine. It never was. And so I'm okay with saying that. At this point in my life, I'm okay with saying it.
Yeah. And I'm the same way, you know, I've always wanted to be married. I knew that was, you know, something I wanted to do. Like you said, with kids, I could take it or leave it, honestly. But that was the same thing I was told too. Exactly what you said. Well, if you don't have kids, who's going to take care of you when you get older? Just because you have kids, that doesn't mean you're going to have a relationship with your kids and that they're going to be in a position to take care of you. I've had aunts that passed, and you couldn't tell me that that wasn't like my mom, and she didn't have any kids, you know. But the thing is, you might not have any biological kids, but there's other spiritual children, people who invest in you and you invest in them, you know. So all that to get worked out in the end, but I'm not having kids as an insurance policy to have somebody to take care of me when I'm older, because I mean, there's no guarantee that they're going to be there.
No, it's not. And I'm glad you said that, because I was feeling some type of way at one point. This is a few years back. I was in my 30s then, and it's a sorrow of ours. She always gives me insight on stuff because she doesn't have children either. And her and her husband been married for years. And she was like, you may not have biologically have had kids, but there are other people in your life that you've sown seeds into, and they could be, you know, like I have godsons and a goddaughter, and I love them all the same, you know. So she was like, it's other people that you might, and I have nephews and, you know, different things. So it was like, it's other people that you might have touched that, you know, they don't have to be your biological kids. So she told me that a while ago, and that kind of put me at peace with that as well. So.
Mm-hmm. And what advice would you have for women that's going through this, that's experiencing this, that's over 40, that's single, and that's just trying to figure out, again, what in the hell am I doing wrong, or what am I missing?
Well, I would say this for me, and this is my experience, just live life to the fullest. And I say that and with no regrets, and accept where you are in life. Don't allow society or, you know, going on social media, seeing, you know, this, that, and the other, and getting all emotional about it. Accept the life that you have, make the best of it, because I've experienced especially during this pandemic, and actually recently a young lady passed away, and it was, you know, suddenly it made me see I'm blessed to be here. I'm blessed to wake up every day. There's a purpose for me on this earth. I can't stress over things I have no control over. And I think a lot of people get so wrapped up into what other people want them to do or expect them to do, but you have to make the best of your life and what is good for you. So I just say live in your truth and accept who you are. And I think just make the best of it. Don't worry about what other people are doing, because what looks good on the outside may not always be that way on the inside. So you have to look that way.
And in line with worrying about what other people are doing, how do you think social media adds to the pressure that you already get from your family and friends?
I think it's a beautiful thing. Don't get me wrong. I love social media. I'm on it every day. But for those who are struggling with wanting to have kids or wanting to be married or wanting that healthy relationship, when they see all this stuff on social media, it really plays on their self-esteem and their psyche, and they start getting depressed and down about it. And I would say, you know, it plays a big role in that. Even though people don't want to admit it, it does, because as soon as you see someone flashing a ring, oh, my engagement, you'll be like, dang, another one got it and I didn't get it. You know, a lot of people are thinking that, or a baby shower announcement, and people are like, dang, they having another baby or whatever. So I think it plays a major role in a lot of the depression that people experience around these things, because I think before social media, not saying it wasn't there, because it was, but it wasn't always in your face. So what I do sometimes, I take breaks from social media as well. Just detach from it sometimes and just let it be for a minute.
Right. And that's the best thing to do with anything, everything in moderations. Definitely. And what advice would you have to, say, the family members or the friends or the married friends that's always asking you, when are you getting married? When are you having kids? And as soon as you get married, well, when are you having kids? I'm like, well, God, no, can I just enjoy this stage of my life before you push me into the next one?
Right. I would say stop it. I mean, just stop it. I mean, the thing is, I don't think people mean harm. I don't think they mean any harm, but I think they don't think about how insensitive it can be to someone who desperately desires to be married, or who someone who really wants to have kids and they can't, or it's just not working out for them. I think people just need to think about, would I want somebody asking me something that's bothering me? And that could be a target or a trigger for some people. So I would just say, stop it. Just please stop it. If they bring it up in conversation, fine, have the discussion, but don't just, as soon as you see the person. I have a friend who says, as soon as she sees the aunt of hers, it's always, when are you going to get a boyfriend? When are you going to get married? And she was like, it makes her feel some type of way. So I think people just need to be cautious about what comes out of their mouths, because words hurt and they carry weight. And people don't realize that, because I mean, it may not be something you want to talk about that day or even want to be thinking
Right.
about. And it might put you in a negative headspace. So
I totally agree. And why do you think men don't get this same pressure that we get as women? I mean, if anything, they're encouraged to, oh, stay single for as long as you can until they like 50. Then they like, well, when are you getting married?
because they're the choosers. They get to
Mm,
pick and choose who they want to be with. So if a man has not chosen somebody, it's because he doesn't want to. So that's how it's looked upon. Like, and if you're not chosen, it's something wrong with you. So
wow.
I think that men, they're looked upon as being, top in the hierarchy up here and women down here. So you should want this man to choose you. So if he does not choose you, you're not worthy. So I think men are, they're encouraged, if they're going to get their education and build their businesses and be successful. They're driven. They're living a bachelor's life. He's just enjoying life. Let him live. And they don't have biological clocks on them. So I think a lot of times, because we're women, they have a biological clock on us, because they always say, oh, a man can have a child anytime, or they can have babies anytime, but your clock is ticking on you. I had a
Right.
I do hair as well. I had a client tell me years ago, and I was in my 30s. She was like, well, she was a doctor, and she flat out told me, if I'm gonna have a baby, I need to hurry up. Because she said that pretty much my eggs were old. And at this time I was like 35, 36. She was like, even if you're not married or you don't have a boyfriend, go to like one of these places and get artificially inseminated, because the time is running out on you, and your eggs are aging just like you are, and your child will you at a higher risk of disability. Oh, she went through the whole gamut of stuff with me. And I was like, did I even solicit this conversation? So it was,
Right.
people don't even think, I mean, I don't think she meant anything harmful to me about it, but as a doctor, I was like, wouldn't you have a little bit better bedside manner, or just a little bit, be a little cautious about the things that come out of your mouth? But she wasn't. But I think men are looked upon as being like, they can have babies up until 100, and we're looked upon as, we have a clock on us. So yeah, so I think that's the big difference in that. They don't think
Wow.
it's necessary. Mhm.
And when will your show, What in the Hell Am I Doing Wrong, be available to viewers to watch, and where can they watch it at?
Okay, it'll be if you go to YouTube, it'll start on Sunday, January the 17th at 5 p.m. We'll be streaming it live, and it will be Dazzle Me Please Productions on YouTube. Find that, and you can follow there. Also on Facebook, you can follow the group What in the Hell Am I Doing Wrong? It's on Facebook, and also on Instagram. So, but you can view it. It'll be streaming live on Facebook and on YouTube, and the recordings will be on Instagram and Facebook and YouTube.
Okay, awesome. Well, Jameelah B, thank you so much for joining me on this episode of Talk It Out Tuesday. I look forward to seeing your show, and everyone definitely check it out on YouTube. I'll have her information at the end of this broadcast. So thank you as always for watching, and we will see you on next Tuesday.
Thank you.